Today, May 18th, 2020, marks the 100th birthday of Pope St. John Paul II. Amidst a nearly unprecedented global pandemic, this day could be passed over just like any other day of being locked down. Instead, let's rejoice as we pay homage to this man, this saint, whom many refer to as the Great. On May 7, 1920, that Poland fought with and successfully took land from the Soviet Union in Ukraine, and it did so again on the 11th. 5 days later, on the 16th, the peasant girl Joan of Arc, who led the French to success in throwing off English oppression, was canonized at St. Peter's Basilica here in Rome. Then, on this day, May 18, 1920, exactly 100 years ago, Karol Wojtyła was born in Wadowice, Poland. He was the third and final child of Karol Sr. and Emilia Wojtyła, his wife. The symbolism of the moment, coming on the heels of Polish victories against the Soviets and the canonization of Joan of Arc, is surely not lost on us. This boy, born to a military family of no great wealth, would rise up to the heights of sanctity and power in Christendom, and as Pope John Paul II, would help to overthrow the tyranny of communism into whose looming specter he was born. After a difficult and by any standard painful early life, at the age of 20 he was orphaned and both of his siblings had died. The young Karol also had several close brushes with death himself. He grew into adulthood in the midst of German and Soviet occupation of his homeland as World War II raged on, followed by the full oppression of the Soviet Union immediately after the war. Wojtyła entered the clandestine seminary in Krakow to begin studying for the priesthood in 1942. Not long after the end of the war, in 1946, he was ordained a priest. He then came here to Rome to continue his studies, and while he was here, he visited the already famous Padre Pio, who prophesied that one day he would ascend to the highest office in the Church. After an extremely fruitful ministry as a priest and then as a bishop in Poland, this prophecy would come to pass with his election to the papacy on October 16, 1978. He was only 58 years old, one of the youngest popes in the past few centuries.
Annuncio vobis gaudium magnum. Habemus papam. Sancte Romane Ecclesiae Cardinalem Wojtyła.
Sia lodato Gesù Cristo.
Sempre sia lodato.
I eventissimi cardinali hanno chiamato un nuovo vescovo di Roma. Lo hanno chiamato di un paese lontano, lontano ma sempre così vicino per la comunione nella fede e nella tradizione cristiana.
It's been hypothesized that John Paul II was possibly the most seen man in human history. As Pope, he made visits to 129 countries, and World Youth Day in Manila alone attracted some 4 million people. Giving countless audiences and homilies, few people in recent times have had anywhere near the personal and direct influence as Pope John Paul II. Of special interest was the commencement of the Pope's famous series of Wednesday audiences on what he titled the Theology of the Body, which began just over there at St. Peter's on September 5th, 1979, and continued over the course of 5 years until November 28, 1984. Appropriately enough, the number of lectures given on this theme was the same as the number of countries he visited as Pope, 129. These profound reflections on the meaning of human embodiment, sexuality, and the roles of men and women have helped to shape theological discourse on these topics ever since, and on a very fundamental level have become one of the greatest resources for people, young and old, all around the world, to understand what it is to be human and to flourish as individuals and as families. My name is Eamonn Clark, International Correspondent for Family Renewal Project. In this series, in honor of John Paul II's 100th year, we hope to show you just a few of the places and stories of his extraordinary life. Each month, we will be bringing you a short piece on the Holy Father John Paul II, along with other interviews about the late pontiff's impact on the lives and ministries of people around the world, with special emphasis on the theology of the body. There are no coincidences with God. Today, St. John Paul II's 100th birthday is also the day that Holy Mass reopens to the public here in Rome. Happy birthday, John Paul II, and thank you for your continued intercession for us and for the whole world.